Oh my god, thank you so much for the subscription position. Welcome for the resub. Get it. So as I was saying, it said it was streaming on OBS, but for some reason it wasn't actually going to Twitch. So I don't know what just happened, but I'm here now. And welcome to the Music Breakdown Live. Today we're gonna just do more tier lists again, pretty much. I mean, hell, you know, that's gonna give me content for the channel for weeks, you know, or something like that. We did so many yesterday. We're gonna do even more today. Well, even more in the grand scheme of things. How am I? I am quite well. Oh, okay. Well. So yeah, I think let me give you a peek at what we're gonna be doing today. Actually, I wanted to try to find something interesting. I wonder how I wanted to do a Nirvana songs tier list, but this could be like, this could have so much fucking stuff. Oh, okay, it's not too bad. Well, it's not too bad because it doesn't feature every song. The fuck's the point of this? Why would I want to do this? This is stupid. Here, let me take that. Let me get my bookmarks toolbar out of the way, and then we'll pull this up so you can see. Let's see, window capture. Make sure it captures the right window. Here we go. All right, you see it? So here is our tier list. Nirvana songs. Where's the one? Oh, every Nirvana songs. Oh, I gotta do every Nirvana songs. Every Nirvana songs. Wow. That looks about right, though. Fuck. Looks like it might not include some. It looks like it only includes the stuff from their discography released on like main albums, so it doesn't include extra material or things. It doesn't even have like You Know You're Right on it, it looks like, which is unfortunate because that's an S tier. So this is what we're looking at doing. It'll be do Pixies albums, Led Zeppelin albums, Radiohead albums, Queens of the Stone Age albums, Black Dresses albums, and every Nirvana song. So that'll keep us going for quite a while, I think. And welcome to the stream, everybody. I really appreciate you for checking out the Music Breakdown Live. Of course, we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And I'll make sure to do a new little intro for the YouTube videos. If you do happen to miss any part of the stream or anything like that, or you miss a tier list, don't worry, it'll be a video on the channel, the Music Breakdown on YouTube, at some point in the future, so you should be able to see it. I'm trying to get to the actual live video on my phone so that I can have my chat, but it's like being terrible. Okay, here we go. All right. Perfect. Okay. Hopefully you can't hear that. Is my does my voice sound okay? Is my audio doing all right? Hello. Excellent, Shawl Games. Is the level, I mean, is the level okay? Like, am I really quiet? I'm sure that I turned my mic down since the last stream. Actually, I might not have. I can move my mic away from my mouth as well if it's a little too loud. All right, well, thank you everybody for helping out with that. And I think we're just gonna get started because the longer I wait, the more boring this is. So I think we should just get right into it. We can take an Am I Depressed quit. I have this fucking ads. Anyway. So we are starting with Pixies albums. All Pixies albums as of 2019, which is the current year. Tier list. So first of all, we have to get this segment all ready for YouTube. So I need to get Pixies record in the background. See if this is it. Yeah, Pixies, what? Oh, you can't really see that shit. How about right? Oh, see that? You can see that. Pixies was actually the first band I ever did a artist retrospective on the channel. I haven't seen that video probably since it came out. So It's probably terrible, but yeah, it was the first one I ever did, I think. Hello, Cesar. Welcome to the stream. So we're gonna really quickly. Am I ranking the albums in order? Yeah, we're basically just gonna do like a quick review of them in order and put them in your list that way. So it's sort of like a retrospective in a way. So anyway, I'm going to set up this clip for YouTube. So give me a moment to prepare. Gotta do some vocal exercises, you know. Me mama, me mama. Very important. You gotta get that enunciation. Hi, I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. Today we're doing a Pixies tier list. Now, as I was just telling chat, Pixies was the first band I ever did a retrospective on, but that retrospective is old as fuck. I think actually when I did that, Head Carrier wasn't even out. That's right, Head Carrier was not out yet. Now there's been another album since then. I wonder where it's going to land on the tier list. So we're just going to go through. Of course, this is being streamed live to the Music Breakdown Live, which is live on my Twitch channel every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. A link to my Twitch channel will be in the description and probably in a pinned comment also. You should check us out every Wednesday. You'll have a great time. So we are going to rank these Pixies albums. To begin, the first album we have to work with is either considered a mini LP or an EP, and that is "Come On Pilgrim." We'll call it an album just for the purpose of this tier list. And I never have said my thoughts on it. You know, "Come On Pilgrim" is pretty solid, but I think that it just comes across very weak when compared to everything that came after it. I mean, it's a good quick debut to show you the weird oddball sound of early Pixies, and it does have some great tunes, Caribou and the holiday song, and the original version of Vamos, which would appear on Surfer Rosa, but it would be better on that album. The production definitely isn't as good as later Pixies albums. The songs aren't necessarily as good either, although I will say that a lot of these songs do sound better when you see them live. I've seen this band live a few times, and these songs do rock. But as they are in this original EP mini LP, I think they are pretty good. I will put it in the B tier. I enjoy "Come On Pilgrim," but I definitely don't think it's too essential, and it doesn't really compete with what they would release after the fact. So that's going in the B tier. Next up is Surfer Rosa, which is really an all-time classic. I mean, this is truly one of the most succinct and strange alternative rock albums of all time. Of course, Steve Albini's production on this album is just incredible. This album sounds raw and in the moment and roomy. It's like you're there in the room with them while they're playing these songs. The mixing is just incredible, and the songs themselves are it's really the weirdest batch of songs that Pixies ever wrote. For the most part, there's a lot of very strange songs. The song structures are, I mean, it's hard to even call some of these songs structured when it's sort of just a riff sometimes. Or, you know, some of the songs, I mean, they have amazing verse-chorus structures, like Gigantic. You know, that's like a fucking anthem. That's like a studio anthem. Well, it's a studio anthem, but it's a stadium anthem, you know? But a lot of these tracks definitely are not like that. I think what really makes this album work, aside from just the energy of the performances and the quirkiness of the lyrics and songwriting, is just the flow of the record is so good. I mean, I could not imagine hearing these songs, a lot of them on their own. They work so well back to back. They hit this really rapid fire stretch, especially in the first side of this album. That's just amazing. And of course, this album features many of their best, most iconic tracks, like Gigantic or Where Is My Mind or Bone Machine. I mean, it's an amazing album. Tons of great hooks, super catchy, very odd, and just absolutely brilliant. Now, I will say, because I'm doing a tier list, I don't want to crowd any tier too much, particularly the S tier. And so, as a result, I'm going to put Surfer Rosa in the high A. but this is pretty much an S tier album. I just recognize that we're talking about Pixies here, and when I'm comparing their albums in their own discography, I mean their original run of records is so near perfect that like I need to allow some room for putting them in different tiers. But if this were like any other band, this would pretty much be an S tier. So next up is Doolittle, which is going in the S tier, obviously. I think what's so great about Doolittle is that it, compared to Surfer Rosa anyway, is that it does go for a decidedly different approach. It's not like Doolittle is just a better realization of what they were working with on Surfer Rosa. Surfer Rosa continues to stand on its own, but Pixies managed to really harness their pop sensibility, which is something that, you know, they show on Surfer Rosa from time to time, but Doolittle, it really just comes out in full force. And in doing so, they do not lose a single amount of the personality or character or just quirkiness that the band has. These songs are still quite odd, and they leave room to throw in some real head scratchers in the track list, but this album just has hooks for days, you know? I mean, it is like every single song on this is just so catchy, so well performed, and the production on this album is amazing yet again. I love the bass tone on this album. It's just some of the best I've ever heard. It sounds so good. And, you know, even the use of reverb and everything is really tasteful. It's a very good sounding album. And much like Surfer Rosa, the flow of this record is just spectacular. Once again, just that rapid fire pace, and, you know, even the length of the silences between the tracks is just perfect. It is such a well constructed album, and I think, you know, its influence, both of these albums really, but this album also, this influence across alternative rock and rock music as a whole is something, I mean, you still feel to this day. Like, this is an incredibly innovative, quirky, an incredible record, really. Just amazing songs, so many amazing songs. I mean, you know, fucking Hey, Debaser, Monkey Gone to Heaven, you know, these are some of their best tracks. Really, every song. This album is so good. Gouge Away, I mean, I could keep going, but absolutely S tier. This is the pinnacle of their discography, in my opinion. Next up is Bossa Nova. I'm gonna put Bossa Nova in. I'm gonna put it in A. You know, I have to. I think Bossa Nova is the weakest album of their classic run before they broke up, but that really isn't saying much, because this band just didn't miss. They just did not miss. And Bossa Nova once again just does a really good job at separating itself from the albums that came before. I think that's what they were really good at back then, is that every album they put out like had a different concept to its sound. Like none of them just sound like rehashes of anything they'd done before. It was always something slightly different. And while Bossa Nova does follow, I think, a little bit in the footsteps of Doolittle, it really emphasizes the surf rock angle, and yet at the same time, like, for a surf rock album, they do so many fucking weird things. Like it feels like it's heavily inspired by like 50s B movies and stuff. I mean, there's songs about like aliens and spaceships and shit, and which only becomes more of a thing later. But I mean, that surf rock sound really just gives way to that kind of like vibe. And I mean, once again, like, song for song, this album is just fantastic. There's so many great tracks, so many great hooks. The production is probably the weakest of the first four, or of these four albums, but or not Come On Pilgrim. I mean, Surfer Rosa de Trompe Le Monde. It's probably the weakest, but it still sounds good. And I mean, a lot of these songs just kick ass. Like, fucking so many great tracks. And again, some of their poppiest and most accessible material, like Valoria or Dig for Fire. These are songs that have like radio power, you know. It's a really, really, really strong album, and I'm putting it in the A tier. And then again, in the A tier, I'm putting Trompe Le Monde, and I'm gonna put it right in the middle of the A tier. Once again, like, I could put 3 albums in the S tier here, to be honest with you. I'm just not, because I I think this is cleaner, but Trompe Le Monde is amazing. This was actually the most immediate Pixies album for me because for whatever reason, like this was an album that on first listen it just kind of blew my mind. Like this is such a fantastic alt rock album, and it definitely rocks the hardest of any of their first 4 records. It is it does so without losing the quirkiness though. Like there are so many just once again just funny quirky songs all over this album, like UMass, and all these tracks which they're sick as fuck, but they're a little bit weird. Pixies never lost that character that they had, you know, never, and not on this album either. I love the guitar sound in this record. It is impressively layered. Some of these songs just sound so dense, and some of my favorite tracks here, like Letter to Memphis and Planet of Sound, like when the guitars rush in, it's such a rush. I think that once again the flow of the record is amazing. Maybe some of the best they've ever had, just in terms of song for song album flow. It is phenomenal. There are some pretty adventurous tracks here for them too, like Motorway to Roswell. Quite a number of interesting ballads and then hard rock songs, and they really do it all here. And I think they really went out with a bang on Trompe Le Monde, so I'm putting it in the A tier. And now, unfortunately, we have to rank these albums, which, I mean, honestly, to my mind, they might as well not exist, because they were gone for so long. They come back and they don't bring anything new to the table. They just sound like a terrible band. And I don't know what happened. They definitely do not have the energy that they used to have, the character that they used to have, and although they try to be quirky, it comes across as just very cringeworthy on these albums. Indie Cindy's going in the F tier, I'm going to be honest. This album is a complete piece of shit. I mean, there are just so many awful tracks on this album. This album has some of the worst production I've ever heard. Like the vocal production in particular, the way the vocals sound on this album is just horrendous. And the songs are like really, really clean, but also like mastered to shit. You know, it's not the mixing that's necessarily so bad, it's the fucking mastering on this album. It's just god awful. This album is very upsetting to listen to, especially as a Pixies fan. It just hurts. There are almost no good tracks. I mean, any tracks that come close to being good are at best just okay, but god, this album sucks. Like, this has some of their absolute worst songs, and it just has no positive attributes. It really has no positive attributes. I can't put it anywhere except in the F. Next up is Head Carrier, which I'm going to put in the D tier. I think that this album of the 3 comes the closest to sounding like an original Pixies album. But and it really feels like that's what they were trying to do here too, but like it still has all these indie Cindy-isms, and once again the mastering is just fucking god awful. It's so poorly mastered. It's so loud. There's no room for you to control the volume on this album. It forces itself to blast into your ears, but there's no justification for it. It's not like the songs are really that bombastic or loud or call for any kind of that sort of edge. There are some aspects to this album that I do like, and there are a couple of good tracks, like a very small amount, but I like that they went a little bit noisier here, a little bit more raucous. That definitely suits their sound better than whatever the fuck they were trying to do on Indie Cindy. But it still just fucking sucks. It's still just a bad album. So it's going in the D. And next is Beneath the Airy, which I'm also going to put in the D. You know, this album was just a fucking snooze fest, and it was so dull. And this one, more than any of the other 3, really sounds like they are just trying to do their best to sound like classic Pixies. But in doing so, the songwriting just doesn't fucking matter. Their songs they write on this album are so boring and tame. There's no edge to this album whatsoever. None. It is so dull. And you know, at least with Head Carrier, it sounded like the band was having fun. But on this album, nobody is having fun. It is so fucking tepid. So that's getting a D. And yeah, that's pretty much my Pixies tier list. I mean, once again, like I could put more albums in S, to be honest. So, you know, don't be upset that certain albums didn't land there. But this is up there as one of my favorite bands, if they aren't my favorite band, which they very well could be. I mean, I fucking love Pixies. And I hope they never release an album again, ironically, but I really do. I hope they never release an album again. That's all I have to say for now, so thanks for watching. And once again, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, you can catch this show live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, linked in the description. Thank you for watching. All right. I should download these. I mean, I probably should. I probably should, because I could use them in the thumbnail. Nah, but if I use them in the thumbnail, then everyone will know what I think. We'll see. All right, that's Pixies. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do that nobody reminded me of? I forgot to title the stream differently. So we're gonna do that now for the Led Zeppelin tier list. All right, I gotta remember to retitle that every time. All right, so let's Led Zeppelin tier list. This tier list includes Coda. And I don't even know if I want to include it, because Coda's pretty much a compilation album. It often gets considered a studio album, but it kind of isn't. Yeah, well, I'll find some way to get them in the thumbnail. We'll figure it out. Anyway, let's do a Led Zeppelin tier list, huh? Remember to change the record. Oh, shit. Miklu. Thank you. See, I like when chat helps me out. Probably. Look at that dude with sticks on his back. Can we see that? Is that? Yeah, you can see it. All right. Getting all this shit on my screen. So we're gonna get ready to begin for the YouTube video. All right, here we go. YouTube intro. Let's go. Hi. 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 I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. Today I'm doing a Led Zeppelin tier list. We're just gonna get right into it. This was streamed live on the Music Breakdown live show. This show is streamed live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Make sure to catch it on my Twitch channel, linked in the description. I would love to see you there when we go live. Led Zeppelin tier list. Don threw up? No, I didn't. That's a lie. That's fake. All right. We're going to start with the debut self-titled album, which it's going in the A tier. It's going in the A tier. This album is one of the most iconic debuts in rock history, and probably one of the best. I think Led Zeppelin really came out of the gates with one of their heaviest records. I mean, this is one of the most influential albums to heavy metal. And at the time, they often were considered a metal band, which kind of makes sense when you hear early metal. So was Deep Purple, too. You know, maybe nowadays they're not seen that way, but there are some fucking heavy tracks in this album. Just this heavy blues rock, like, you know, Dazed and Confused and shit. And it's pretty sick. There's a very, very good sound that this album has. And you know, tons of great tracks. It has a pretty fantastic track list. There really aren't many lows. I think, you know, at worst, they maybe write like one slightly too slow bluesy number here or something, or some of their songwriting, you know, it's not like perfect yet. Some of the songs drag on in ways that maybe they didn't need to. But at the end of the day, they're all fucking sick. They all come out so sick. And one benefit to the band's songwriting not being completely like polished yet was that you get some of these more adventurous tracks which can go in some pretty unexpected, interesting directions. I mean, even the way that Dazed and Confused like changes from part to part is just absolutely crazy. But there's a whole number of tracks that do. I love the closer, How Many More Times. Communication Breakdown is sick. That's true. Good Times, Bad Times. Fucking great album. Really great album. Right out of the gate with some of their best tracks, some of their best production. It's a very, very, very solid record. And yeah, I think A is where it belongs. And next up is Led Zeppelin 2, which I'm putting in the S tier. This is my personal favorite. There is no denying that Led Zeppelin 2 might be their most dad rock album ever. It is their most standard, sleazy, sexy, hard rock album they ever put out. And that may make it a bit of a turnoff for people. And, you know, it should be a turnoff to me because I tend to hate that kind of like cock swinging, cock and ball guitar rock or whatever. But this album is just so fucking good. Like, this album absolutely proved the potential of cock rock. Okay. Like, if it all kicked this much ass, then it I don't think it would have a bad rap. I mean, yeah, whole lot of love, but another thing to mention is just that this album is more adventurous than a lot of bands who were inspired, I think, by the sound of albums like this, and a lot of earlier hard rock just tended to be. Like Whole Lot of Love, for example. This is a cock rock song to the core, okay? But it features that bridge section, which is honestly like just a crazy fucking psychedelic freak out. It's wild. And it's such an odd song section to have in there that it transforms the song away from just being this ball swinging rock riff into something so much more interesting. And it gives it more dynamics too. Makes that guitar solo land harder, and the final leg of the song just kick that much more ass. They do a lot of things like that on this record. There are also a lot of like beat switches. the 60s hard rock equivalent to a beat switch. Like, I think on What Is and What Should Never Be, when like as the song is ending, it just changes into a new riff and turns into a completely different song at the end. Yeah, the Lemon song is a good example of like, you know, it's a very lengthy, slower blues number, like, you know, some tracks could be on the first album, but like they spice it up with just these super heavy, great riff sections that come in there in unexpected moments. And I mean, they do that kind of stuff all over this album, but even the more conventional tracks here are just amazing. I mean, these riffs are so good, like Heartbreaker and shit, Living Loving Maid. And my favorite track here is the closer, Bring It On Home, which is of course their take on that blues standard, or their plagiarized version of that blues standard. But God, like the riff, when that riff comes in on this song, oh my God, it's just insane. It's just insane. This album is amazing. I think, you know, it is flawed, admittedly, but I just don't care. Like, the production on this album can be kind of shit. I just don't care. This album is just so good. Like, song for song, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I think like it's the pinnacle of hard rock music, easily. Well, maybe another album we'll talk about might also be, but I'm putting it in an S. Next up is Led Zeppelin 3, which I'm gonna put in the C tier. I do like this album, but I think it just isn't that great. It could be a low B also, so let's be clear. I would put this in a high C. I do like this album. I just think in their broader discography, like, while this album featured them experimenting with sounds that would become a large aspect to their music going forward, and I think it also is kind of the point where the artsier side of the band started to come through, I just think that a lot of songs in this album just aren't that great. This album also really starts to dip in quality as it goes along. Some of the folk rock tracks are really good, like Friends and Gallows Pole, but a lot of them are kind of boring. There are a number of pretty weak tracks in this album. But yeah, of course, this album has Since I've Been Loving You on it, which is one of their best tracks. Just this long, extended blues rock number, and it is an amazing jam of a song. Um, and Immigrant Song, of course, being the most iconic thing here, and maybe their most iconic song ever. And, you know, for good reason, but also not. Because here's the thing, another thing about Led Zeppelin 3 is that I feel like the songwriting is not too great. A lot of these songs are great for like a minute, and then they just sort of stop being great. They just kind of coast along. Some songs have great moments, but then like the chorus kind of sucks. There are just a lot of weaker moments all across this record, and while I do like it, it just doesn't really stack up to the best of their discography. And I think, like, you know, Immigrant Song really is the perfect example of what I'm talking about too, because that's a song where like everybody knows the first like minute of it, but you know, that's the part everybody loves and everybody thinks about when they think about the song. But the whole track has some slightly weaker moments, but it does kick ass, right? It's, you know, this album's pretty good. I could put it in the B, but I'm gonna put it in the C just because I think it doesn't stack up to some of their other work. No, I'll give it a B. I'll be nice. I'll give it a B. I do like this album, and I think that when I'm looking at the rest of their albums, I realize I don't want this in the same tier as some other stuff. So I'll give it a B. Next up, we'll go with what are we on? Oh yeah, Led Zeppelin 4. Duh. Led Zeppelin 4. Led Zeppelin 4 goes in the A tier for me. Led Zeppelin 4 is often considered their masterpiece, and there's a very good reason for that. I mean, first of all, this produced the highest percentage of like classic radio staple iconic Led Zeppelin songs. Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway to Heaven, When the Levee Breaks. I mean, there are just, this is a killer track list, an 8-track track list, and they really brought out all the stops. And what's so awesome about Led Zeppelin 4 is the way that they combine all the stuff they've been working on up to this point. Like, Led Zeppelin 3 is kind of a bit of a mess, trying to introduce these folk elements and these artsier elements, but Led Zeppelin 4 brings them in to their core sound in a way which transforms the band forever. I mean, it is a seamless blend, and like, you know, even just the folk songs on here, like the Battle of Evermore and Going to California, are just as strong as some of the rock numbers. The production on this album is some of their best also. Lots of bops on this record, lots of great hooks. And Stairway to Heaven is their best song. It is. You know, like, it's their most ambitious, incredible, and maybe not their most ambitious track ever, but one of their most ambitious tracks, but it just sticks the landing so well. Like, it is pretty much the perfect structure to learn if you want to make like an 8-minute song. It does it all right with an amazing guitar solo. It is like their peak moment. Now for me, the only thing that holds this album back from being in the S tier is that side B isn't as strong as side A. And also, I've never been a huge fan of Black Dog. I know that's like one of their biggest tracks, but for me, it's a little bit, it sounds a little sloppy to me. Like the way the time signatures work when the guitar riff comes in. It just doesn't feel right to me. But the vocal part to that song is fucking sick, undeniably. But yeah, this album's awesome. This album's awesome. It's one of their best albums. And it's like pretty much the first Led Zeppelin album I think anyone should listen to, because it is the Led Zeppelin album. If there's only one, it's that one. Next up is fucking Houses of the Holy. I'm gonna put it in the S tier. I'm gonna put it in the fuck you. I'm putting it in the S tier. You know what? I don't care. This album is so fucking good. I have always fucking loved this album so much. There are so many astonishing tracks in this record. For starters, song remains the same. is one of the best openers of all time. That song is absolutely fucking nuts. The guitar tone is like dreamy and heavenly, which it is on quite a number of tracks here. They really go for a different sound here, and it just sounds more artistic as a result. They obviously wanted to push their artsy side here, and just right down to the guitar tone and the production of the album, it really like brings that out of it. But yeah, Song Remains the Same is just one of the most kick-ass songs fucking ever. No Quarter is like incredible. The Ocean has one of their best riffs of all time. Over the Hills and Far Away is amazing. The Rain song is like right up there with Stairway to Heaven, honestly. Yes, this album is flawed, and everybody knows that. It has the crunge on it, which is definitely a little bit of a miss. But I can't lie, I even kind of like that song. It's kind of fun, you know? And Dear Maker has its fans and it has its haters. But I'm a fan of that song. I think this album's lovely. I think it is flawed for an album to put in the S tier, but I don't care. This is right up there with 2 for me as one of my absolute favorites. So I have to give it the S. I have to. Next up is Physical Graffiti, which I'm going to put in the A tier. Physical Graffiti is the double album from Led Zeppelin. You know, maybe their most ambitious album in that sense. I mean, this or Four or Houses, they all just have a high level of ambition. I think really brings them to the next level. And I mean, once again, I mean, this album has some of those like all-timers, like Kashmir, you know. I mean, Kashmir in particular is the one that everybody knows. There's so many great tracks in this, though. It's one of their most versatile records, as it should be as a double album. I think they do a good job of using that format to their benefit, and making a lot of unique tracks for them. Some really long songs, jammy songs, but also just some hard rockers. I mean, really, it's a really well-rounded double album, and definitely one of the best double albums out there. There's a lot of sick tracks all over this. The first disc is amazing. The second disc is great too. I think the second disc, the final side of this record, is a little bit weak, but only in the context of the whole album. There's so many great tracks on this. You know, I would say that of all these classic albums, this is lower for me. But God, they were just killing it at this point. They were just killing it at this point. And this album is a great way to end the stretch of their career where they were putting out great music, because that does end. And we get to Presence, which I'm gonna put it in the C. I don't think it's bad. I mean, it has Achilles' Last Stand on it, which is just a fucking remarkable track. The riff on this song is insane. The progression is just wild, interesting, and fun. An amazing 10-minute song. And then the rest of the album just is kind of lame. The band just sounds really tired on this album. They don't sound like they really cared much about what they were doing. It doesn't have the energy or the passion of previous Led Zeppelin albums. It doesn't have the ambition of the last few albums either. It's pretty dull overall for a Zeppelin album. It's pretty dull. There are some alright tracks after Achilles' Last Stand, but for me, Achilles' Last Stand is the song. The rest of this album is okay. You know, it has a good album cover. I like the family like staring at a dildo or whatever the hell. But the album was rushed. It might have been. I believe this was around the time that Robert Plant got into a car crash or something and was injured while making the album or something like that. It just doesn't. It sounds tense and not in an interesting way. Tired. It just doesn't sound like an album that they really cared too much about making. Finally, we have In Through the Outdoor, which I'm gonna put in. I'm deciding between a D or an F. I'm gonna put it in the D. I don't think it deserves an F, but God, this fucking album sucks. The band tries to survive I don't really know. They incorporate synths into their sound, probably because other bands were doing it. And some of their just absolute worst material lands in this album. You bring up Hot Dog, and Hot Dog is truly a horrendous, fucking god-awful track. That song is F- tier, okay? It is laughably fucking bad. But other songs here, like the epic tracks with corny ass synths, like Cara Luz Alhambra is the one I'm thinking of. The opening track is just a fucking snooze fest. And the ballad, like All My Love, it sounds like a power ballad. It's just weak. The only song here that is pretty good is Fool in the Rain, which is a pretty nice track. It has good drumming, a good piano part. I can't say this album is awful, but it really blows. And it just feels like the real stinker of the Led Zeppelin discography. A very, very, very lame, as you say, crappy album. And I'm putting it in the D. I'm not going to put it in F because, again, I don't think it's awful. Coda, I'm not going to rank because this is basically a compilation. It might as well be, and I'm not going to rank it. Plus, I don't know what to say about it. So that's my Led Zeppelin tier list. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. Make sure to check out The Music Breakdown live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, which is linked in the description. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. All right. How'd I do? How we do, chat? How we do? We got a few more to go. We're gonna have fun. All right. Pretty comedian. Nice. So we're gonna move on. Cara Luz Alhambra has a top 15 Led Zeppelin song for you. Listen, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. This album, not my thing. It's not my thing. Yeah, I think I stand by this. I think the only questionable decision I made was putting Houses in S instead of putting it in high A. This is my second favorite, but it could have been here. It's just, to me, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. I'm putting it in S. All right, so we're moving to the Radiohead Fortnite Battle Pass. Buy now. That made me soy face. It was just so cool. All right. So we've got Radiohead. Fucking Radiohead. Fucking Radiohead. All right. Let's go. Wow, look at these album arts. What the fuck? They're like zoomed in. It's weird. All right. All right. Let's should we start for YouTube? I think we should. Here we go. Hi, I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. Today we're doing a Radiohead tier list. What you're watching now is actually streamed live on the Music Breakdown live show, which you can catch every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch, linked in the description. I'd hope to see you there. So let's get right into this. I do know that Epic Games bought Bandcamp. I'm still nervous about that. Forgot to change records, Cesar. Just, people are so nice to me. Such a good job for my... I'll just cut this part out, but I don't know, we'll put all right. Let's go. So, Radiohead tier list. We're starting with Pablo Honey. I'd like to just quickly say that in order to make this tier list work, I have to rank things lower than I really feel about them. So I'm gonna put Radiohead or Pablo Honey, that is, in the D tier. I do not think this album is bad. Okay, just to be clear. But when I'm thinking about the overall Radiohead discography, not only is this definitely the weakest record, but this also just stands out the least. It is the most un-Radiohead album, and it's the least worth listening to. It really has actually, honestly, almost nothing worth listening to about it. How are my records not slipping and falling? I don't know, but I hope they don't. I think a C tier is a more like reasonable thing, because again, this album isn't bad, but we're doing this just for the sake of the tier list, okay? You know, it's not a bad record. It's like, it has Creep on it, right? And Creep's a great song, and it was a great first single for them, and it definitely launched them into stardom, which allowed them to do what they did later. But aside from that, as an album, this feels like an album built around a single. Like, there's one strong lead single here, and the rest of the tracks are really dull, really lame. There are a lot of stupid choruses on this. Pretty lackluster production, boring riffs, boring songwriting. It's very weak. They're really aren't any great qualities about this album at all. Even Tom's singing on this album is sometimes a little bit iffy. It just doesn't really have anything to it that you can really say is exceptional, aside from the song Creep. Um, you know, it's fine. Like it's a listenable album, but it's just very dull. And it doesn't really stand out in any way. Um, and so it's going in the D. The Benz is going in the A tier for me. This is one of my favorites from Radiohead, to be honest, and I like it more than a lot of their albums. In truth, I mean, I think that it is a fantastic alt rock record, poppy alt rock record, radio friendly alt rock record, which is what it is, and it's amazing at being that. There are so many incredible ballads and great rock songs on here. And if you like the rock side of Radiohead, this is really the album you want to go to because it's going to give you that in the best way. Pablo Honey definitely won't. But there's tons of great hooks on here, amazing songs. I mean, High and Dry, Fake Plastic Trees, Planet Telex, the title track, fucking Fade Out, Street Spirit. I mean, that song, you know, really tells you what Radiohead will be after this point. It definitely goes a lot farther than Pablo Honey does, and just being a more versatile, interesting, well-written album. Much better lyrics, interesting lyrics in general, much sadder sound, just more of a mood and a tone, and it's just leagues and bounds above Pablo Honey for me. I really, really like this album. I don't want to make it sound in any way like I don't love this album, because this is definitely one of my favorites from the band. Even a lot of the slightly weaker album tracks here are still great. I mean, this album is just sick. It's really fucking good. So I'm definitely giving it an A tier. OK Computer is going in the S tier, obviously. There's only, I mean, I don't even know what I can add to this album at this point, but OK Computer really is one of the most perfect, adventurous albums in alt rock music. This album pushed alt rock forward into a place that maybe it ended up coasting out on for too long. I think alt rock became a boring mid-tempo genre because, in part, because of OK Computer, and that does suck, but it's not Radiohead's fault. The chilly, isolating mid-tempo sound of OK Computer was there for a purpose. It complemented the themes of social alienation and technological alienation, which are things that we still grapple with to this day. It definitely is of its time, and I think the lyrics reflect a time when those sorts of things were becoming apparent that they would be a problem and would continue to be a problem, but I think we're in a much different place now, and everything's gotten much worse. This album is just incredible. I mean, song for song, they do not... Every single song is an amazingly satisfying, adventurous, beautiful fucking track. And something I love about each song in this album is that even though they are all mostly at this mid-tempo range, every song has these highly lifting, satisfying moments in them, no matter how subtle, but every track fucking goes somewhere at some point, you know? Subterranean Homesick Alien with that amazing chorus, exit music for a film with the most obvious climax of the record, and you have like the ending of Climbing Up the Walls, the chorus of Lucky, the chorus of The Tourist, fucking Paranoid Android, that middle rock section leading into the finale, the chilly guitar all over Airbag and shit. There's so many like unique and interesting sonic elements worked into these songs, and it's not to say that it's the most adventurous album of all time. A lot of it really are ballads at the end of the day, but they do so much to spice them up sonically and make them sound better. And the production is amazing, and I mean, everything about this album is amazing. It's an album that just never personally gets old for me. An album that I can listen to endlessly, and I know a lot of people don't feel that way. They feel like this album's been talked about to death and that it just doesn't really have the same staying power, but for me, I could listen to this on endless repeat and not get tired of it. So I'm putting it in the S tier. Kid A, I am also going to put in the S tier. Kid A does an amazing job of expanding upon, I think, the isolation that Radiohead wanted to build in OK Computer. But it does so through its sound. even more than OK Computer does, stripping everything away into these electronic landscapes inspired by many other electronic artists to this point. But to do it in the context of a band, of a rock band, a popular alt rock band with several like radio hits, as Radiohead had, is undeniably an incredibly bold and risky move that they took here. This is one of their most experimental records, and it is so in the best possible way because every single experiment goes over well. Just such a wide range of influences too. It's not just electronic music; it's also stuff like krautrock and even some prog. I mean, I can hear that in here. And they do all this while retaining just an incredible like mastery of mood. It's another just incredibly sad and lonely, isolating record, a very cold album, and it does so in a way that few bands can ever match. So many amazing tracks here. I mean, everything in its right place. The title track, fucking How to Disappear Completely, the national anthem. I just listened to the first 4 songs because that stretches so. I mean, I love Tree Fingers, the ambient interlude. I love motion picture soundtrack, Idiot Tech. I mean, the whole track list is phenomenal. This is a beautiful record. It stands right up there with OK Computer, another one of the greatest albums ever made, but you probably already knew that. We'll move on to Amnesiac, which I'm putting in the B tier. I like Amnesiac quite a bit, but I think that it's definitely quite a little ways down from Kid A for me. A lot of people will talk about it in the same breath as Kid A because it clearly did come out of the same sessions. I think it does a good enough job of furthering the sound of Kid A, and honestly, this album can be even stranger. Actually, it's generally much stranger than Kid A. It goes even farther with some of that stuff. A lot of these songs are almost like unfinished ideas, but like in a good way. Like it is quite messy. Some of these tracks don't progress all too much, but they're uniquely weird and uniquely almost demo quality in a way that enhances the overall feel of the album. You know, I think the first half of this record is very strong. The second half has some pretty weak tracks though. You know, this has tracks like Pyramid Song on it and Packed Like Sardines and A Crushed Tin Can, Crushed Tin Box or whatever. Life in a Glass House. These are up there as some of my favorite Radiohead tracks, but then there are definitely quite a number of tracks that are kind of misses. You know, it's still a very strong album, but I just think it's below everything that we've talked about in the last 3 albums. Next up is Hail to the Thief, which I'm going to put in the C tier. Like, this is an album that I can listen to and just forget every single note of. It's honestly, it's solid enough. You know, it has good tracks on it. It's an enjoyable listen when it's on, but it's just such a forgettable, unmemorable record for them. It really did nothing to enhance or further their sound in any way. You know, it sets you up in the beginning to expect them to blend their earlier rock sound with their new found electronic sound on the amazing track 2 + 2 = 5, which is one of my favorite Radiohead tracks, but the rest of this album just fails to deliver on that promise in every single way. It's not really that great. There aren't really, outside of 2 + 2 = 5, I can't think of any top tier Radiohead tracks. It just doesn't really compare with the stuff that came before it. It's okay. It's okay. You know, it's a fine album. And it has a cool album art, so you gotta give it that. Next up is In Rainbows, which I'm gonna put again in the B tier. In Rainbows, I think, did an amazing job at revitalizing the band and also revitalizing everybody's love for them, which is not to say that people didn't like Hail to the Thief, but I think In Rainbows, you know, stands up for a lot of people as one of the greatest Radiohead albums. For many people, this is their favorite, which is very understandable. You can hear a lot more influences from like indie and stuff on this record, which is really cool. And I think this definitely does a better job at blending their rock sound with their electronic sound than Hail to the Thief does. There are tracks on here that sound like expansions upon some of the things they were doing on Hail to the Thief, but they definitely do it in a better way. The production of this album is near perfect. I just don't like the way the drums sound. I think they're too dry for me, and they just don't fit too well on some of these tracks, but the mixing is truly, truly astonishing. Some of their best tracks definitely do land on here, like All I Need, Weird Fishes, Body Snatchers. There are some fantastic tracks in this album. But for me, the second half of this record is pretty weak at points. I'm not necessarily enamored with the sound they went for in Rainbows. It doesn't have a lot of my favorite songs. It is a very, very, very good album. And I can definitely see why a lot of people really tend to favor it. It just doesn't really do for me what some of their other albums do for me, and there are a few tracks here which I think are a little bit weak. I've never really been a big fan of Reckoner or House of Cards or Faustarp, and all those songs are back to back, which kind of adds to a pretty dull section of the record for me. But there are a lot of really amazing attributes of In Rainbows as well, so I don't mean to discount it too much. I'm just trying to justify why I have it in B, because I know people aren't going to necessarily like that too much. Next up is The King of Limbs, which I will put in C. I think The King of Limbs has some very strong tracks, and it has a really good idea, a very good sonic concept to it, but they don't really deliver very well on it. It's a pretty dull record overall. It's okay. I don't think this album is bad. And I think there are some very good tracks. I really like Bloom. I think Bloom does the whole like sampled sound that they're going for here, where they're like sampling their own sounds and stuff and building them up into strange sort of weird grooves. That song does it the best. There are some tracks here though that are just really fucking weak, and songs where it feels like they did not know what the hell to do with them. It is not a great album, but it's fine. It's fine. I can appreciate the experiment here, and I think some tracks do go over well. I don't think the album is bad, but it's the weakest of every album after Pablo Honey. I think that's definitely the case. Next up is A Moon-Shaped Pool, which I'm gonna again put in the B. I would have to think on this one as to where I would rank it among these, but I'll put it in the middle for now. There are a lot of beautiful tracks in this album. It was really cool to be a Radiohead fan when this album dropped. I would love to hear a new Radiohead album any day now, you know, I really would. There are tons of beautiful, expressive, highly emotional tracks in this record, like Daydreaming, Glass Eyes, and the final track here, which True Love Waits, right? I almost forgot the title. Hearing them finally do a full version of Burn the Witch was really cool when that came out with that amazing music video. Daydreaming had an amazing music video. There were good music videos for this album too, which was pretty sick. This was a very strong album with some great production. I loved the strings. I loved the more Baroque sound. I mean, not Baroque, but chamber sound of the album. That was really cool to hear, and there were a lot of great tracks on it. I feel that it coasts a little bit in some tracks on that sound a little too much, to the point where the songs don't really stand out to me a lot of the time. There are a number of songs here that, you know, don't rank among my favorite Radiohead tracks, and there are definitely some weaker tracks. It's a little bit of an inconsistent record with it. I could honestly go, I could say it's better than In Rainbows for me. I could say it's a little bit weaker than In Rainbows. It might be tied. I'd have to think about it. But this was a very, very fucking good album that I really, really enjoyed. So don't get me wrong with that. And I mean, I should also mention that I am deflating these a little bit, because I want to let the tier list space out a little bit more. So I mean, really, some of these could land higher. But yeah, I very much enjoy everything in the B. I think these are all great. Because it's fucking Radiohead. So that's my Radiohead tier list. So if you're watching this on YouTube, remember that this was streamed live. You can check me out, my live show, The Music Breakdown, live every 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on every Wednesday of every week at my Twitch channel, linked in the description. And thanks for watching. I will see you next time. All right, so now, how do we do? I'm actually going to remember to do stuff. I didn't put Radiohead tier list in my fucking title. You all need to do better at reminding me. And I need to do better of not being a dumbass and forgetting. Because I think that's really what the problem is. Next up, we're doing Quotza, right? Am I wrong? Oh, we're doing Quotza. Queens of the Stone Age tier list. All right. Radiohead tier list would have like drawn people in, dude. Damn, I always forget. All right, Quotza. I'm gonna change the record. I wasn't. That I actually. Okay. Queens of the Stone Age. We did good on the last segment. I think we did good. So now it's time to keep it up, keep up the progress. We're starting this for YouTube. Hi, I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. And today I'm doing a Queens of the Stone Age tier list. Now, this segment that you are watching was actually streamed live in my live show, the Music Breakdown Live, streamed every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, which you can find linked in the description. And let's just get right into this. So Queens of the Stone Age, I think, is one of the best alt-rock, hard rock, stoner rock bands of the modern rock era from the 2000s to now. They, I think, consistently have made really great records, a lot of great songs, and they have a really hard-ass sound, which is sick, and lots of good albums. So we're going to talk about them right now. They're one of my favorite bands. Let's go. Okay. Starting off with the debut, which I'm going to put in the... I'm going to put it in the C tier. I like this album, but I think that it shows a more unrefined version of their sound, a much less memorable version of their sound. There aren't a lot of tracks in this album that I really ever want to come back to. There aren't a lot of tracks that I can even remember the riffs to. It kind of rocks while it's on, but truthfully, it's just not one of the most exciting Quotza albums to me, and I don't really think that it's done that much for them. I think that it's really the next album where I think they really found their sound. Like, this album is a hard rock album and nothing more. It just doesn't really... It's pretty good, you know? It's good while it's on, but forgettable while it's off. So I'm going to put it in the C. Not one of my favorites. Next up, we have Rated R, which I'm going to put in the A tier. This is easily one of their best records. I think that, you know, they just really kicked everything up a notch from the debut on this one. Like, this album still rocks hard for sure, but their hooks are way better. And the songs are much more strange and adventurous and actually have some character to them. It's probably one of their weirdest records, because they make some tracks here that are just a little bit weird. There's a quirkiness to this album that I really like, and a songwriting style which can seamlessly transition from really good poppy, catchy songs like "The Lost Art of Keeping a Secret" to the jammier, slightly odder tracks like "Leg of Lamb," to the prettier tracks like "Autopilot." I think they really kicked everything up a notch. This album is really awesome. It has so many fucking great songs on it, and it's one of my favorites for sure. I'm gonna put it in the high A tier. That's a high A though. Next up is Songs for the Deaf, which is going in the S tier. Okay, Songs for the Deaf. We were just doing a Led Zeppelin tier list earlier, and I mentioned that Led Zeppelin 2 is like the peak of hard rock, but this might also be. This might also be. The fucking hard, loud, gritty ass sound of this album is just to die for. It just absolutely kicks ass. Every single track for track, the production is like compressed to shit, and it works. Like, it's just at this loud, ear-splitting level the whole time. And that fucking the guitar tone is just so thick and like it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Face melting fucking guitar tone on this album. Song for song, like fucking this has No One Knows on it. This has fucking First It Giveth, fucking Go With the Flow, God Is in the Radio, You Think I Ain't Worth a Dollar, But I Feel Like a Millionaire. It's a long title. Song for the Dead, Song for the Deaf. Fucking I could go down the whole track list because this album kicks ass. There is not a missed moment on this entire record. It has great single power and great deep cuts too. And the radio concept of like listening to radio stations across like a long drive through California is so entertaining. The skits on this album are funny as fuck. Honestly, this is like one of the best skits album, even though it's a rock album. But the skits are fucking funny. There's so many quotable moments from across this record. And yeah, like even in the transitional moments, this album is great. And I think that's one thing that really amps it up too, is that as good as these songs are, this overarching concept, the transitions of the radio skits, just keep it interesting because the album is quite long. And it just does an amazing job keeping your interest and keeping you laughing and having fun with it. And it can be a really dark fucking record too. It can be dark, it can be sexy, it can be hard. I mean, it's fucking everything you want a hard rock album to be. It is just an astonishing record. So that's going in the S tier. Next up is Lullabies to Paralyze, which I'm gonna put in the B tier. Lullabies to Paralyze is, I think it tries to be a darker record than Songs of the Deaf, and a sexier one too. Because there are some very vulgar sex songs on this album. I like this record a lot. I think there are a lot of really good tunes on here. I think that the length hurts it though. There are some of their worst songs that land on this album, like Broken Box, which is just so fucking bad. You know, it feels like there are a few too many tracks. This album could have been trimmed for sure. There are some songs that did not need to be here. But the core track list is very good. My favorite track here is Someone's in the Wolf, which is one of their longer tracks, and it's just fucking amazing. The heavy ass riff that comes in, it's fucking crazy. The Blood is Love is a great song right after that. I love In My Head is a really catchy radio rock kind of song. You have Little Sister, which is one of the most popular tracks. That's a great song. Medication is a great opener. Well, sort of the opener. Lots of good songs on this. Very good album. Definitely has some of their best tunes and some of their worst tunes. So I'm gonna put it in the B. Next up we have Era Vulgaris, which I'm gonna put in, I think, the C tier. It just it has some strong tracks on it, but I honestly feel like some of the most popular, like Threes and Sevens, for example, that's one of the most popular Queens of the Stone Age song. And I really, really think the only reason for that is because it was in Guitar Hero 3. Because I just can't see, it's not a very well-written song. Like, it's okay. A lot of the tracks are okay. They go in a more experimental, gritty, and oddball direction on this album, but I really don't think they pull it off too well. You know, some songs work and some songs don't. I don't think the album's bad. I think it has some good moments. It's a decent album with some good tracks on it. And, you know, some good singles. But it just, like, songwriting-wise, it just feels pretty weak. It feels like they didn't really have the ideas. And part of me feels like this album was experimental because of a lack of ideas rather than like an abundance of ideas. It just really feels that way. It's I still probably like it more than the debut, and there are some tracks that I definitely like returning to off of this. Turning on the Screw is amazing. But you know, it just, I don't think it stacks up to a lot of their albums. Next up is Like Clockwork, which is going in the A tier, the high A tier. Like Clockwork is amazing. Like Clockwork just has the best songwriting of any Queens of the Stone Age album. Like, this is their songwriting album. It's like, it's the point where I think Josh Homme in particular really comes forward as the songwriter here, writing songs, dark songs about death and love, and but it all has this dark, brooding kind of feel to it, like the cover art suggests. And just with that opening track alone, it really sets the mood so well. There are a lot of great tunes on here. It definitely doesn't rock as hard as some of their other albums, and if that's what you're looking for from Quotza, you don't get that as much here, although there is My God Is the Sun, which is an amazing rock track from them. It's not an album that kicks ass, but it's a more emotional and profound and interesting album. And again, just a lot of great tunes. A lot of great tunes in this record. I think this is absolutely one of their best, right up there with Songs for the Deaf. I will put it in A, but I could even justify an S tier for this one. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Next up, we have Villains, which I'm going to put in the D tier. I don't think that Villains was a bad album, but God, it was so boring. This was the first Quotza album that I was like a fan of them when it came out, so I actually got to experience the release of this album. The singles I thought were pretty bad. The first single they dropped for this was The Way You Used to Do, which is like one of their worst fucking songs. Like, so bad. I don't think the album has a lot of terrible tracks on it. That is one of them, but I think a lot of this album is okay at best. Nah, there's just, these songs are just fucking weak. These songs are just weak. The opener is really fun, very enjoyable. The rest of this album is boring as fucking shit. It just feels like such a dull record with no ideas. Terrible production. The worst they've ever had. I will go that far. The production of this album is ass. It is so dry and bad. Mark Ronson was the producer of this for some fucking reason. Mark Ronson of Uptown Funk fame. Yeah, this album sucks. I don't think that it's a terrible record, but God, it is so fucking lame. I like, this was such a disappointing release for them, and I definitely think it's their weakest record. I don't even know if it's close, honestly. So I'm gonna put it in the D tier. And that is my Queens of the Stone Age tier list. If you enjoyed this video and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to check out the Music Breakdown live show every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed. And that is that. All right, how'd we do? How'd we do? How'd we do? Got some more tier lists to do. Let's remember to actually fucking adjust my titles and shit. So we're gonna do a Black Dresses tier list, which is gonna be radical. I don't have a Black Dresses vinyl, unfortunately. I don't think that they dropped any. If they did. Thoughts on Caius? I've never actually heard Caius. Still to this day, I've been a huge fan of Quotza for a long time, but I never actually listened to Caius. It's just what it is. All right. Black Dresses tier list. So this is my black. I actually don't want to put a video up to the channel for this one, so we're just gonna do it for stream. This is the stream bonus. This just isn't as big of a pull of a video concept, so I'm not gonna put it up as a video, but this is your stream exclusive tier list, so I hope you enjoy this. None of these albums are above a B tier. The fuck are you talking about? Wait, what albums? Are you talking about Black Dresses? Better not be. All right, this is for you. This is stream exclusive. All right. So Black Dresses, amazing fucking industrial pop group. You wouldn't put any of their albums above a B tier. That's crazy. All right. So we're going to start with Waste Isolation, which I will... Wait, hang on. There's no F tier. Not that I would put anything in F tier, but we need there to be one just for consistency's sake. Oh yeah, I'm wearing my Black Dress shirt right now, actually, which is pretty sick. I didn't even really think about that. All right. We'll start out with Waste Isolation, which I'm gonna put in the B tier. I think Waste Isolation is one of their darkest and most difficult to listen to albums, and for that reason, it's not one that I personally like to go and check out all the time. This album does have some fucking awesome songs. Some of their best tracks, like Doorway, In My Mouth, Eternal Nausea. Lot of great. Oh, yo, real quick, Pazuzu, this is why I was calling you out, because you said none of these albums are above a B tier when you meant to say none of these albums are below a B tier. Oopsie. But anyway, I think Waste Isolation has quite a number of tracks that aren't really too memorable, which is what Angela's saying, but I kind of agree with that. There are definitely a lot of tracks that I don't really stick in my mind, but this does have some of their best tracks on it. It has a great sound. It's a really strong debut, I think, but at the end of the day, it drags a little bit, and songwriting wise, not too many great songs. Buy Dresses for Women. This is what I have, the Buy Dresses for Women. All right. Yeah, I'll put it in B. Like, I like this album, but I don't think that it's too great overall. I just think that it really stands out more on a song by song basis than as a full album. And it's a pretty tough listen too, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's a tough listen. Next we have Thank You, which I'm gonna put in the B tier as well. Yeah, the B tier, I think. This album is some of the harshest music you'll ever hear. I mean, really, like the mastering and the mix and the sound of these fucking synths and shit is like really fucking intense, like painful to listen to, kind of intense. It's just very, very, very extreme, and yet still somehow, even within that, they still come out with some fucking catchy songs here occasionally. Like Death Bad Girl. And Death Bad Girl is just fucking awesome. And then Wheel of Fortune, which is one of my absolute favorite Black Dresses tracks. Definitely does have some of their best songs for sure. Yeah, and the overall sound and aesthetic and vibe is insane on this album. This is one of the most fucking crazy ass like sounding albums they ever did. You know, again, song for song, I love it more on a song for song basis than as an album as a whole, because there are tracks here that are weaker for me, and songwriting wise, I still don't think they've completely found it yet. There are some songs that meander a little bit, don't necessarily have great hooks, sort of like on Waste Isolation, but I think that the sound is stronger than Waste Isolation. This is a very good album. But do be warned, if you choose to listen to this, you have to have a pretty high tolerance level, because this record fucking hurts. This record hurts to listen to, in a good way, in my opinion. Next up, we have Love and Affection for Stupid Little Bitches, which gets an S tier. This is my absolute favorite record from them. I think this album is a fucking masterpiece. There are just like so many amazing songs here. And I feel like this is really where they found where they really hit their stride songwriting wise. The last two albums had a couple of tracks that are highly memorable, catchy tracks. Not that they need to be catchy, just memorable, punchy tracks. But there are a number of tracks on them which are a bit more forgettable, a bit more meandering, and don't necessarily have the strongest hooks. This album completely does away with that, and it still manages to be a fucking harsh album. And I think they do such a good job on this record of making like a much poppier album, first of all, a much poppier album, but still like probably putting off the majority of listeners. I mean, this album opens on Static, and Static is one of the loudest songs I've ever heard in my life. Like, when they bust in with that scream and it's just like piercing your ears, it's clipping through the fucking, oh my god, it's insane. It's insane. And it rips. And like, this album has such a great balance between tracks like that and honestly like ballad tracks like Bloom and Music. And you also have like amazing pop tunes like Hurts is just so fucking catchy and anthemic. Um the and My favorite song here is Mind Crushed, which has that bridge where, oh my god, the bridge where Debbie's just fucking screaming and the noise is going crazy. Oh my god, it's so sick. This album is way catchier than their last two, better hooks, better production, but also it still retains the harshness and the inaccessibility that made Black Dresses Black Dresses. The lyrics on this I just love. It's just such an incredible record. And yeah, Cartoon Network, oh my god, it's just so clever and what a good album. What a good album. I'm putting that in the S tier. Next up we have Peaceful as Hell. I'm gonna put it in the C tier. For me, this is their weakest album. I just feel like this album, it has a lot of tracks that are pretty weak. Production wise, I think the production of this album is kind of bad at points in a way that none of their other albums are. Thematically and lyrically, it's one of their least interesting in my opinion. Which is not to say that there aren't great tracks on it. Like, there are songs in here that have grown on me over time, like Damage Suppressor, which is one of their catchiest, most fun tunes. Songs like Scared to Death and some of the more like guitar-oriented tracks here are really good. But it's messy. I feel like it's very messy, and I feel like a lot of these songs go back to kind of meandering around. They don't really have great hooks or high level of memorability or really anything I look for from some of their other tracks. But you do mention Creep You, and Creep You might be their best song. Creep You is astonishing. And that's the thing about this album. It has some really strong highlights. But as a whole album, it's a little bit on the weaker side to me. I still like this album. I would just put it as the lowest in my opinion as a whole album. It has some of their best tracks, but it's their weakest album, if that makes any sense. That's just my feeling. Next up is Forever in Your Heart, which I'm putting in the A tier. Forever in Your Heart felt to me like what Peaceful as Hell could have been, which is not to say it goes for the same exact lyrical vibe as Peaceful as Hell, but the longer track list, longer album, more guitar focused sound, that's all here again, and they just refined it to such a high level on this album. This album is just like, it's just so hard, you know? It's just so hard. Like, and they do a really good job balancing the track list out, similar to Love and Affection, of having these really hard, insane, intense, inaccessible tracks paired against some, you know, softer, more ballad-like tracks. But this album just never stops kicking ass. It never stops kicking ass. It's so great front to back. The weakest aspect is that I don't think a lot of these songs are super memorable. There are a lot of tracks here that I only really remember when they're on. Which is a problem I have with most of their records, but it's the flow of this track list. It's the overall improved production. It's the guitar-oriented sound, and it's the lyrics of this record that take it all to that higher level for me. It is very, very, very good. And I think, again, I just feel like it's more like what I would have wanted Peaceful as Hell to be. Next up, we have the newest album, which is Forget Your Own Face, which I'm also putting in the A tier. I think this album is fucking rad as fuck. It goes hard as fuck. And I love the way the songs just bounce around section to section in these crazy ass ways. It just rocks. It just fucking rocks. And it feels like the Dead Girls here are just having way more fun on this album than a lot of other records. Like, they do a lot of silly things, and not to say that the album isn't dark, because every Black Dresses album is going to be dark, but they just sound like they're having fun on this album, and it's infectious. I mean, like, some absolutely, like, amazing tracks on here. Money Makes You Stupid just is one of the hardest fucking songs ever, okay? Like, this album was great. I really, really, really enjoy it. And I think this is one of their best records. I've never been one to just like every time Black Tresses release a new album, just be like, this is the best shit ever, because a lot of fans kind of do that. So I really do mean this about this album. I think this album's fucking fantastic. I think this is my Black Tresses tier list. This one's not going on the channel, so this is your stream exclusive tier list. I hope you enjoyed. I think I'm happy with this. I think this is pretty much how it would be for me. All right. Now we're going to do a Nirvana songs tier list. This is gonna be sick. All right. Here, let me all right, there. Okay. You need an F tier. I don't know what songs are gonna land there, but this one's gonna go on the channel. So let me get a Nirvana album. All I have is Bleach because I sold my other 2 Nirvana records because they were like anniversary editions. So I got a lot of money on them. I'm gonna get Nevermind and In Utero again. But I had like anniversary editions that I didn't need. I'm not gonna put Bleach in the fucking bag. I'll put Bleach. That's fine. I also have MTV Unplugged, I guess, but we'll put Bleach. All right. Yeah, I figured a Nirvana. It is a great album. Yeah, it's just like I'm trying to think of an album that represents the band or whatever. It's it's the debut. Let's do Nirvana songs tier list. Now, guys, this could last a while. I'm not gonna talk about each song as much as I talk about like albums or whatever, but yeah. All right. So let's get this started. Hi, I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. Today we are doing a. I was too slow. That was too slow. All right, let's do it again. Hi, I'm Don, and welcome to the Music Breakdown. Today I'm doing a Nirvana songs tier list, and what you're watching right now is actually streamed live in my live show, The Music Breakdown Live, which you can catch every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, linked in the description. I highly recommend you go there and give it a follow so that you can be notified when we go live. I'd love to see you next time, and let's get right into it. The Nirvana songs. We'll start album by album, and we will go track for track as best as I can remember it. I think when it comes to Incesticide and MTV Unplugged, I might not remember the track list perfectly. Here, let me in another tab. I'm gonna open up Nirvana albums on Rate Your Music so I can get the track listing correct. So we'll do it perfectly in order. All right, starting off with the first Nirvana song. Well, no, not the first Nirvana song, but the first song on the first Nirvana album. That is Blue. I'm gonna put Blue in. You should work your way up to S tier. That isn't a bad idea, but the only problem is that I have a feeling I'm going to overlook certain things. Like, I'm not going to have it perfectly in my head. I don't know. What do y'all think? That could be fun, right? If I could try to find, like, the worst songs and put them in the lowest places. What do y'all think? I'm giving you the moment to decide. I need to see if I can like get a resource for some, because some of these songs I might not remember super well just from the name, like the name of it. I don't know. Do it by album order for makes you more. I think it's just easy. Yeah, I think it's just easier because I'm gonna be able to remember the tracks better. We'll do it that way. Anyway, give me 1 second to like pull shit up so I know what's going on here. I recently re-listened to Nirvana because I was planning to do a Nirvana retrospective, which still might happen, and we might end up doing it live. But anyway, all right, we'll start out with Blue. Okay, so Blue is going to go in. I have to think. The only difficulty with this is thinking about how many songs from Nirvana do I love, and it is like most of them. So I might want to deflate this a little bit and put songs like that I really, really like in the B tier. But I think I'll just do it this way. I'll just do it this way. All right. Blue is going in the A tier. I love the sludgy riff on this track. It's a sick opener to Bleach. Very enjoyable song. Bit of a shitty guitar solo, but otherwise awesome ass song. So I'll put it in the A. Because it just fucking slaps. Next up is Floyd the Barber, which I'm gonna put in the B tier. Very good song. Pretty disgusting fucking lyrics in a decidedly Nirvana way, because that is the one aspect of the band you don't really get on their studio albums so much, except for like on this track. But when you listen to Incesticide or any of their extra material like that, this band was fucking gross as fuck. Yeah, Bleach does have shitty guitar solos, but it's okay. Floyd the Barber going in the B tier. You don't go to Nirvana for the guitar solos anyway. Next up is About a Girl, which I have to find. That is an S tier. Easily S tier song. To me, this is probably the best song on Bleach, but there are a couple other ones that are up there for me. The song, I mean, come on. Like, I also particularly love this Bleach version of it. I love the way the guitar sounds on it. The tone, it's just really nice. It's a very catchy track, one of their catchiest tracks for sure. Next up is School, which is going in the S tier again. One of the best tracks on Bleach, one of their most kick-ass songs ever. Absolutely fucking insane drumming performance. Honestly, really good drumming on this track from Chad Channing, who doesn't often give very good drumming performances. But I love the chorus on this. It's sick. Very anthemic. Awesome song. Do I have the right title? Yes, I do. Okay, we're good. All right. Next up is Love Buzz. Their cover of Love Buzz, which, fuck it. Putting in the S tier. Once again, just one of the best songs on Bleach. I absolutely love the guitar part on this is just crazy. It just sounds so cool, and Kurt's vocal performance on this cover in particular is just awesome. Then we have Paper Cuts, which kind of reminds me of Alice in Chains. It always reminded me of Alice in Chains. I'm gonna put it in the B. I'm not. Should I rank these? I'll rank them maybe at the end, but we'll put them in each tier. I'll put Paper Cuts in the B. I think Paper Cuts is a very good track. It's dark, it's brooding, it's creepy. I like it. It's a cool track. Next up is Negative Creep, which I'm going to put in the B tier. I'll put it in the B tier. I might move it down to a C, a high C. This track's a little bit bullheaded, in my opinion. The riff kind of isn't too great. And Kurt's vocal performance is one of my least favorites he's ever given. I'm going to put it in C. I think the track rocks. It does rock. But it has a lot of negative attributes, in my opinion. It's just not a great song, in my opinion. Next up is Scoff, which I'll put it in the B. I mean, I like it. That's another song that rocks. It has a good chorus. Not a great Nirvana song by any stretch, but it's cool. And Swap Meet, which I will also put in the B. I think this song has a very good chorus. It's a little bit of an underwritten track, but it slaps. So I'll put it in B, but it's one of the lower Bs. Then we have Mr. Mustache, which is honestly one of my favorites. I think this song is fucking amazing. I think the riff goes hard as shit. The song's absolutely sick. The song just rips. So I'm putting it in the S. And then finally we have Sifting, which I also really like, and I'm going to put it in the A. I think that Sifting is a really good closer to Bleach, and a pretty dramatic track that I really like. Then we have Big Cheese, which, ooh. I don't even know. I don't know how I feel about this song. It's been forever since I've heard this. I always listen to the vinyl version of Bleach. I'm gonna put it in the C, because if I really liked it that much, I feel like I'd have it higher. So we're gonna put it in the C. And then Downer, which I absolutely am putting in the D. Sorry, but this song sucks. The performance on this song is absolutely sloppy. This song sucks. I will say, these songs are bonus tracks on Bleach, but I know that probably most people listen to Bleach with these songs because all the CD releases included them. But they're bonus tracks. They're very clearly not. And also, a Downer appears on Incesticide as well. Because again, it isn't really like a Bleach track. So that's my rankings of Bleach. I think I'm satisfied with this. I think I'm satisfied with this. There might be actually less tracks in A than in B and S at the end of this. There very well might be, but I think I'm okay with that. Um, if I have to, I can move some tracks down from S, but I don't know. I don't really want to. All right. Next up is Nevermind, which is my favorite Nirvana album. It's a long time coming to that opinion, but honestly, this is my favorite record they ever made. I think it has their best songwriting, some of my favorite production from them. Actually, it is my favorite production from them. I know In Utero sounds great and everything, but God, Nevermind just sounds so good to me. I love fucking Nevermind. We'll do Incesticide, but it came out after Nevermind. All right. So, starting with Smell Like Teen Spirit. Smells Like Teen Spirit, S tier, duh. This is their most iconic track for a reason. This is one of their best written songs ever. Amazing riff, incredible chorus, one of their catchiest tracks, incredible song structure. The perfect usage of the loud soft dynamic, better than any song you'll ever hear. Do it. I mean, the fucking bridge to this song is astonishing. The way that built into the chorus is one of the most cathartic things ever. This song is absolutely one of the best songs ever made. That's easy S. Next up is, I actually know this track list. In Bloom, which is another S tier. This might very well be my favorite Nirvana song. I think the song is just fucking amazing. Once again, incredible fucking chorus. Good guitar solo on this one, too. The drumming on this song is amazing. Fantastic fills. Such a good fucking song. I love In Bloom. So catchy, so good. Come As You Are is getting in the S tier again. I mean, I'm just gonna listen. This is why we might have to move some stuff in the S tier down. So maybe at the end we'll do that. But I'm just gonna rank them the way I'm thinking right now, and we'll move it around afterward if we really need to. But I fucking love Nirvana, so it's gonna happen. Come As You Are, astonishing. The riff is so good. The watery tone of the guitar is amazing. The chorus is just it's so lifted. God, this is such fucking it's so good. It's so good. Add an S plus. That's lame. I'm not doing that. I could add an A plus though. I would consider doing that. I might do that. We might add an A plus and move some S's down into the A plus. All right. So Come As You Are, great. I guess some people do SS, right? I don't fucking know. Whatever. S plus. What? I'll figure it out. All right. After Come As You Are, we have Breed, right? Can't believe I can't remember this. I used to listen to Nevermind like every single day of my life back in high school. Yeah, Breed. Okay. Breed gets S tier. Amazing riff, killer fucking song, rips, catchy, awesome atonal guitar solo, fucking sick as fuck. Lithium, S tier. Yeah, we're gonna need another tier. But anyway, Lithium, S tier. I mean, fucking come on. One of their best singles, one of the best tracks on Nevermind. The chorus is iconic, just an iconic hook. The verses are so fucking good. Some of the most interesting lyrics on Nevermind. Amazing. Next up is Polly, which I will give... I'll put it in A. I'll put it in A. It's an amazing song. Incredibly dark, chilling. Incredibly chilling. Yeah, it's a great acoustic number. I'm putting it in the A tier. Next up, we have Territorial Pissings, which is an S tier song. This song rips harder than most Nirvana songs ever. This is one of my favorites. When the guitar rushes in on this track, particularly with the production, oh my god, that shit, oh, amazing. Cures all your ills. Okay, next up is Drain You, right? Yeah, Drain You and then Lounge Act. Yeah. Drain You's an S tier. This used to be my favorite Nirvana song, because that fucking bridge, oh my god, that bridge, ugh, amazing. So good. Yeah, the S tier is gonna get loaded. We need to do something about that. All right, next up is Lounge Act, which gets an S tier. Oh my god. The vocal melody is just fucking so good on this song. The finale to this track is one of the most kick-ass moments in their discography. Just amazing. Lounge Act gets an S tier. Next up, we have Stay Away, which gets an S tier. This song kicks ass. I love the chorus. Kurt's nearly screamed vocals in the chorus are incredible. I'm putting it in the S tier. I will make another tier. All right, you know what? We're doing it now because this is getting ridiculous. I need to have at least some separation. We'll do like A+. So A+ is pretty much still S, but it's not like, I wouldn't say this is a top 10 Nirvana song or something. That's what we're doing for A+. So for that, I'll move these down. Let's see. Stay Away will go there. I think Lounge Act will go there. Yeah. There we go. I think that's good. A+. I like that. I think that's good. So can I like make the red here darker? No, I don't think so. All right. Well, I don't know. Whatever. It'll just be the same thing. Okay. All right. Cool. That works well. And then we have On a Plane, which I'll put in the A tier. This is one of the weaker tracks on Nevermind. Probably my least favorite Nevermind track, but it's still amazing. I like the lyrics. They're very funny. I like when he starts writing about how he doesn't have anything to write about. It's very amusing. The guitar sounds really good on this track. It's a good track, but I'm gonna put it in the A tier. Then we have Something in the Way, which will go in the A+. An amazing closer to Nevermind, just an amazing closer to Nevermind. One of their darkest, most emotional moments in the entire Nirvana discography. A really fucking good track. Endless Nameless, I will put in the B. Endless Nameless is highly entertaining, but it is also not the best. I think it's a great hidden track. It's one of the best examples of a hidden track ever. They did a really good job putting this as the hidden track because it's very funny. It would scare a lot of listeners, and on a very poppy, accessible record to have this song just thrown in there like after 10 minutes of silence is very funny. It's an enjoyable track for sure. I mean, but like it isn't, it's a hidden track. It's not really like part of the core track list of Nevermind. Okay, now we're gonna do Incesticide. Oh boy. So Incesticide has a lot of interesting material on it. This was a compilation they released after Nevermind. It features a lot of rarities, B-sides, non-album singles. We'll go through it. So for Dive, I would put Dive in the B tier. They have Downer again. Okay, we already ranked Downer. Well, you know what? Fuck. I'll use the Incesticide version of Downer because it is not a Bleach track. Okay. Neither is Big Cheese, but I have to use fucking thing anyway. We'll use the Incesticide version of Downer. Anyway, it's the same song. Okay, Dive is really good. It has a really good riff, a good chorus. It's a good song. Not one of my favorites. Pretty shitty production, but good song. Then we have Sliver, which I will put. It's not Silver. It's Sliver. I'll put it in the A. I think Sliver is a very, very good non-album single. I think this is a great song with a great chorus, really fun, interesting lyrics, different lyrics for Nirvana, and it tells a story, which they rarely ever do in their songs. It's a very, very good track, a very, very good single, very strong single. So I'll put it in A. Then we have Stain, which I'm gonna be real with you, I don't even fucking remember this song at all. I literally do not remember this fucking song at all. I'm gonna turn off my audio output and like play a couple seconds of this so that I can refresh my memory, because I was listening to Incesticide fairly recently, but like some of these tracks are just kind of lame. Hopefully you can't hear this, because if you can, I'm gonna get copyrighted. Actually, it wouldn't necessarily matter, but yeah, you know what? Actually, I can leave the audio output on because we're gonna cut this from the final video, and I'm not gonna save the VOD, so it'll be okay. Let's listen to like a second of Stain, see if I can remember this fucking song. I might have to do this with a couple Incesticide tracks. Wait, let me see. Oh yeah. This fucking song, that's right. Yeah, okay. It's it'll go in C. It's all right. It's okay. I remember it now that I heard it. It's okay. Next up is Been a Sun, which is it's a B. a nice feminist track. It's a B. I like it okay. Then we have Turnaround, which is like a cover, I believe. I'm gonna put it in the C. Then we have Molly's Lips, which another cover. It's pretty good. I'll put it in the B. Then we have Son of a Gun, which again I can't remember. What song was this? Ow. Oh yeah, that's right. This cover. I actually really liked this track. I actually really liked this track. It was very enjoyable. Damn, would I put this in A? I really liked this track when I heard this. I remember liking this track a lot. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, no, I really like this track. I don't know if I've ever heard the original. It might just be like a basic ass version of the original, but I wouldn't know. I like the track. Then we have New Wave Poly, which is pretty stupid. It's not that bad, but I'll put it in C. Then we have B. Okay, here's where shit goes downhill. So we have Beeswax, which gets F. This is a song I don't even recommend anyone actually go listen to. You don't even want to. There are some songs on Incesticide that are just so fucking gross. Like, you don't even want to listen to this. You don't. Then we have Mexican Seafood, which is another F. Just absolutely fucking disgusting. Hairspray Queen, which it's an F. Aero Zeppelin, which is I'll put it in C. It's okay. Big Long Now, which I'll put it in the B. I actually quite like Big Long Now. Oh, wait a minute, Aero Zeppelin. Hold on, let me make sure if I can remember. Oh yeah, this song. Never mind, this gets a D. Sorry. I needed to remember some of these tracks. Then we have Aneurysm, which I'm gonna put in the A+. Aneurysm is honestly one of their top tracks. This song is fucking sick. This song is so good. This song is so good. This was the B-side to Smells Like Teen Spirit. It is so fucking good. And definitely the best track you're gonna find on the Incesticide compilation. That's just a compilation. Like, I think it has a lot of the worst material from Nirvana, but it's just a compilation. It's fair, right? All right. Next up is In Utero. So with In Utero, we've got Serve the Servants, which is gonna get an S tier. This is such an amazing opener. This is one of the best openers of all time. The lyrics on here are so resonant, and they really cut deep, as do a lot of lyrics on In Utero. The production just comes right out of the gate with that large blast of guitars that opens the album. It's just so fucking cool. This is one of the best Nirvana songs. And so is Scentless Apprentice, which is one of the hardest, noisiest, craziest tracks in their discography, and one of the best riffs they ever wrote. Just fucking amazing. I should actually move Breed down here to A+. Yeah. I think so. I was trying to look for another one. I moved to A+. I should move Breed. Okay. Then we have the next track, which is Heart-Shaped Box, which obviously is an S-tier track. One of the best Nirvana songs of all time. One of the most famous Nirvana songs of all time for good reason. Incredible chorus. Such a fucking good song. An amazing music video. If you've never seen the music video to this song, you really should. Super sick. Next up, we have Rape Me, right? Right? I don't want to be wrong. That's why I'm like making sure. I know this in my head. Like somewhere in my head is just the information of the track lists of my favorite albums, but it's been a while. All right, Rape Me. That gets an A. For me, it is one of the weaker tracks in Utero, which means it is an amazing song because In Utero is so fucking good. Yeah. Then we have Francis Farmer Will Have Her Revenge on Seattle, which I will put in the A+. This is a fucking awesome track. This is a really fucking awesome track. I love the verses are so dynamic, and the chorus is one of the most depressing choruses ever written ever. I miss the comfort of being sad. Oof, that cuts so deep. Great song. Then we have Dumb, which I will put in the A plus. Dumb is one of the best ballads in the Nirvana discography. A very, very chilling song. And I could consider putting it all the way in the S, but we'll look at it after. Then we have Very Ape, which I'll put in. Damn, I really fucking like this track. Actually, I'll put it in A plus. But yeah, this song is sick. This song is so sick. This song goes so hard. Next up is Milk It, if I remember right. Yeah, Milk It, which is definitely getting an A plus. Milk It is one of the most bizarre tracks to land on any of their core studio albums. Weird fucking lyrics, weird fucking guitar playing, but just an amazing loud chorus. So good. Then we have Pennyroyal Tea, which I'm gonna put in the A. It is a great ballad. It's a fucking great song. Then we have Radio Friendly Unit Shifter, which is one of my all-time favorite Nirvana songs. I'm gonna put it in the S. It's a really underrated track in my opinion. This is the hardest that they go on their noise rock sound that they experiment with on In Utero. And this song is noisy, it is blaring, it is fucking crazy. It goes so goddamn hard. I've always loved this track. It is just so sick. So that definitely goes in the S tier. Next up, we have Seattle. What is that? Okay. We have Tourette's, which is going to go in the A tier. It is a kick-ass track right before the end. It is really good, but I'll put it in the A tier. Then we have All Apologies, which is an S tier song for sure. Definitely an S tier song. No denying that. All Apologies, just an amazing closer. An amazing send-off for this band. And yeah, then we have Gallons of Rubbing Alcohol Flow Through the Strip, which gets a C. I've heard it before. It is a more boring version of Endless Nameless. It's a hidden track that only appears on certain copies of In Utero. It's not on any of mine, but the anniversary edition vinyl that I had included it, so I was able to look on that. It is okay. All right. Then we have MTV Unplugged. So the track listing of this, I'm definitely going to forget. MTV Unplugged, you're going to find all of these live versions are going to rank lower than the studio versions because I personally just don't prefer any of these unplugged versions to the studio versions. My favorite tracks on MTV Unplugged are definitely the covers. You'll definitely see that with my rankings here. So we have About a Girl, which I will put in the A tier. It's a very, very nice cover of About a Girl. And it goes over quite well. Then we have Come As You Are, which I'm going to put in the B tier. I'm not too crazy about this version. I think it really takes the edge off the original in a way that I just don't really care for. It's a little bit dull, but it's still good. It's still Come As You Are, and I love the recording on MTV Unplugged in general. The overall vibe is just very, very nice. Then we have the Jesus Doesn't Want Me for a Sunbeam, which I am putting in the A tier. I love the accordion. I think it's an accordion, whatever instrument it is, bagpipe, accordion or bagpipes, one or the other. It's one of those things. Sounds great on this song. Just a very, very lovely performance. The Man Who Sold the World. Nirvana absolutely transformed this song, turn it into their own song. Better than the Bowie version for sure. The Man Who Sold the World is astonishing. This is one of the greatest Nirvana tracks of all time. And I'm definitely putting in the S tier. Then we have Pennyroyal Tea. Don't particularly care for this performance of Pennyroyal Tea. I'm going to put it in the C tier. It's not bad. I think this has some of the weaker vocals from MTV Unplugged. And it's just not the best. I think at one point, like, Kurt either forgets the chords or he sings the note wrong or something happens. Some mistake in this one that just really turns me off. Then we have the version of Dumb, which I will put in the... I'm going to put it in the B tier because it's a good performance of Dumb, but it just feels very inessential because it's, at the end of the day, it's not really that different than the original version, and it's weaker in just a little bit. So it's like, why even listen to it? Like, it would have been cool to see live, but You know, not like a version that I'm ever gonna really go for, but it's a very good version of Dumb. It's just, again, it's just like Dumb again, so it's like, okay, not necessarily that exciting. Then we have Polly, which once again, it's just like the same thing as the album, so it's like, it's great, but it's the same version as the album. I don't want to put it in the same tier. It's like, why even bother listening to it? You know, outside of the context of MTV Unplugged. Then we have On a Plane, which I'm gonna put it in the B. I think out of all of the choices they made of songs to play in MTV Unplugged, I think this was the weirdest choice. I don't really know why they played this song. I don't necessarily think it was super suited to this environment, but it's still a good performance. Then we have Something in the Way, which is weaker than the album version. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I'd rather listen to the album version. Then we have Plateau, which is a lovely, lovely cover, and I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think Plateau is super, super good. And also, Oh Me, which isn't here, so that's cool. Oh Me would be in the A tier, but it's not here. So, okay. Lake of Fire is going to go into the A+. This is one of the best covers, one of the best tracks on MTV Unplugged. Just a fucking awesome cover. Then we have All Apologies, which I will put in... Sorry, hold on, I'm fucking reorganizing. Yeah, okay. I will put All Apologies... Oh no, Airs Up One was in D, I'm an idiot. I will put All Apologies in the A tier. I do very much like this version. I think it's very good because All Apologies is such a good song. But I think the studio version just completely trounces this one. But I'll put it in the A tier. I think it's very, very, very nice to hear. Where Did You Sleep Last Night goes in the S. I have more S's than any other category. Oh no, not than B. I have more S's than A's and A pluses, but I think I have to. I think I'm. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think I have to. I think I have to stay with that because I don't want to move any of these down. Looking at them now, and I don't want to move any of these up necessarily. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is my. I think this is my tier list. Let's zoom out so we can really see what's going on here. Yeah, here we go. So that's my Nirvana songs tier list. Hopefully there's nothing too disagreeable here. I'm not the biggest MTV Unplugged fan, so you will kind of see that, but I love the covers on MTV Unplugged, so those ranked really high. You can definitely see which albums I prefer. Bleach is underrepresented in the top few tiers, as is MTV Unplugged, but never mind, and In Utero are all over the place. I absolutely love this band. Very few, honestly, overall. Not a lot of songs landed in the bottom tiers, because they're just such a good band. And I think I'm cool with this. I think I'm cool with this. All right. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. You can catch the Music Breakdown live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch channel, linked in the description. I would love to see you there. And thank you for watching. All right, folks. That does it for our tier. How'd we do? How'd you like that? Did you like that? I enjoyed that. I thought it was quite fun. We got a lot of tier lists done. I think we had a good show tonight. That's all we're doing, by the way. So we're gonna be dipping out. I thank you for watching. You will see a lot of these tier list videos start to go live. I might start working on editing that tonight. Editing some of them. They're gonna be pretty easy to edit. Not a lot to cut out. I just have to make thumbnails and shit. I hope you all enjoyed the most recent Music Breakdown video. Hope you were able to catch that. If you haven't, go over to the YouTube channel and watch that. It was an edit of the reacting to bad music streams. I think that turned out really nicely, and I made a very nice sellout YouTuber thumbnail that I think looked pretty good. So I hope you all enjoyed that video, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And again, make sure you subscribe to that channel. You probably all are, but if you aren't, make sure you are, because these stream clips will go there. And if you ever do happen to miss one of these shows or miss any section of these shows, you can always see them when they upload to the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all watching, and this was a very fun stream, and I will see you next time.